Thank you for listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion, with your host, Dapper Data.
What's up, y'all? You are listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion. This is your host, Dapper Data, as usual, right? The clean, crisp, smooth, Dapper Data. All right, I might be doing too much. Anyways, look. So as you know, right, I'm on this whole like breaking the segments down, right? I want to break everything down to probably about 15, 20 minutes or so when I talk about it. And even when I get into interviews, right, I want to do about 30 minutes at the max, right? Because I'm listening to the audience. Okay. So I appreciate all your feedback. It's definitely much appreciated. Uh, and you're telling me that, man, these hour sessions are dope, but they're too long. So I get it, right? I'm with you on that. So anyways, without further ado, I want to get into the topic of today. The topic of today is COVID. Okay, COVID's been around for a long ass time, right? Like I'm tired of COVID. I'm tired of wearing a mask. I'm tired of uh, constantly being cognizant of every move I make. Right? I can't even be around people. I'm an extrovert. If you didn't know, I like to talk to people. I like to be face to face. I like to look them in the eyes. Right? I like to do all that good stuff. And for some reason, COVID is fucking me up. COVID is really getting to me. It's probably getting to a lot of people, um, and I'm noticing it, right? Because what's happening is that it's keeping me away from being able to do what's natural in my body, right? But they're coming out with this vaccine, right? The vaccine is what I want to talk about today. And even though COVID has stopped me from being this bold, this exciting, this this person that's always communicating, this flamingo, right? Shout out to Eric Thomas because with the assessment, right? This flamingo trying to be out there and just be around everybody. This person that's like just flamboyant, just always out there. COVID stopping me from doing that, man. It ain't right. You're not cool, COVID, at all. But we got this vaccine out, right? The vaccine is supposed to be the thing that is going to help us, right? You got the flu vaccination. Every time I go, I get sick. I might get a sinus infection. They're like, oh, let me check you for the flu. Let me do a swab your throat, all that stuff for strep, flu, everything like that. You got it, you don't got it, whatever it is, you know. If you do, we recommend you always get the flu shot. That's what they say, right? Can you get the flu shot? Did you get it? And all that stuff. At one point, I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I was like, I'm gonna get this vaccine. I don't care what anybody says, I'm gonna get it. You know, but the more I read, the more I educated myself. Right, it's all about educating yourself. Staying ahead of the game. The more I did that, right, the more I began to do more natural healing. The more I began to understand that some of these things are really fighting against our body, and if we can prepare ourselves prior to having to get a vaccine or having to or prior to actually getting um, sick, right? We can actually fight off these infections. And one thing I've known, right, that is that we can fight off a lot of these infections. Well, when we're fighting these infections off, right, it's our body's way, like the sneezing, the coughing, the what else? What is you have? You got the throwing up, right? The diarrhea, all that stuff that they talk about. All those things that's going on in our body. Those are ways of our body healing ourselves, right? We have a natural way that we do things to heal ourselves, and so we have to understand that, right? Our body knows how to get rid of some of this stuff. I mean, we talking about God provided us with all these different resources in this world, and we sit there and we're deciding to resort to things like um, vaccinations, right? So I'm totally against it now. Okay, So that's my statement right there. I am against vaccinations. No, you are not putting a needle in me at all. Okay, but let's talk a little bit about some of this stuff, right? Because as we get into these vaccinations, right, we're starting to there's some questions to me in my eyes that I want to be able to um, answer, right? And I'm sure there's some questions out there to the world and some of the things that they want to answer, right? For me, I am no expert, right? But I follow the data, okay? And that's why I present a lot of these things. Is based off of the data, the research that I've done, all right? And I'm just spitting to you what the data is showing, right? Some of these reputable sites like John Hopkins, CDC, data.gov, things like that. You got a lot of sites out here, CDC in particular, right? They're showing a lot of data, a lot of results. Those are the places that I follow. And when you bring that data together, right, and you come up with your own opinion, again, do your own research, right? I like to talk about that. That's important. And so when you do that, right, then you come up with your own conclusion about things. Okay. So, anyways, right. So we got this vaccine coming out, right? They're trying to give it to you. Should you do it? Should you not? To me, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Based off of a lot of data um, that I have actually, researched over the past several years, right? That's why I don't even do the flu shot anymore. Okay. But there's things that's going on right now with the vaccine coming out. There's people that are against it, right? There's misinformation coming out. Okay. So you have to really be smart about it. Okay. Let's start off with a few things, right? Can adults have COVID? Yes. Okay. We've noticed that. We've seen it. Uh, every adult can pretty much get it. Okay. Whether your reaction to it is the same as the person that's next to you, it can be even somebody as close as your spouse. I don't know, right? Your reaction to it probably could be different. It could be totally different, right? When you look on WebMD and you look at the symptoms of COVID, I mean, it's every freaking thing that you can think of. Okay, sneezing, uh, coughing, throwing up, diarrhea, whatever it is, itching, blinking, anything, right? Anything is freaking a symptom of this daggone COVID virus, right? So now let's go to the youth. All right. At one point, they were saying, "Well, the youth cannot get it." To me, I was like, "What the fuck do you mean the youth cannot get it?" Right? WTF? So you're telling me that a youth person, right? They're the same person as me, and you cannot get this disease? What? I mean, we're all human. So you're saying like, what do they have that I don't have? You know, why am I grown right now? Why do I not care to be like the youth right now? At one point I was like, man, I don't want to be young. I would never want to be young, right? You got all those no worries, but at the same time, you ain't got no money, right? But during COVID time, look, you better believe I was like, I would love to be 5 to 10 years old at that moment. So, but anyway, so you have that, but now, okay, studies are showing that kids, the youth can get COVID. Okay, they're less likely to be hospitalized, right, because of COVID, but um, but they're definitely able to get it. Okay, they probably more than likely will not die from COVID, but they definitely can get it. And what does that mean? Well, that means that your son can go to school, your son can come back home, right? Your son can sneeze once or twice. Your son can, uh, son or daughter, sorry, son or daughter can do all these things, right? That I just talked about. But your son or daughter can come in and hug your mom or dad, the mom or dad, right? And when they hug them and then they sneeze, or shoot, not even sneeze, they can actually pass it on to the parent, and then they go back to school and they're good, right? 14 days, 21 days, whatever it is, how many days pass by, they lose it, COVID's gone from the kid, but then the adult can get it an adult can now have symptoms that are way worse than the kid ever had, right? If the kid had symptoms, they can have breathing issues, they can have all this crazy stuff, right? Okay. So, it's they can pass it along, and then the adults, right, their immune system, right? Some people believe the thymus gland. Thymus gland is very important. We can talk about all that in medical history and stuff like that. But, you know, that's um that it's important to understand that, the youth can get all of this, right? The youth can get it. Now, their reactions may not be the same, but the youth can get it, okay? And people in their 20s and 30s and 40s, right, can catch the virus, and some of them develop like severe symptoms, okay? They're lasting symptoms. But the issue is, right, if they have some underlying disease like obesity or diabetes or high blood pressure and stuff, that's when you run a greater risk of dying. Okay. So that's based off of the research that I've done. Okay. Again, do your own research. It's important. But I do want you to understand that COVID is real. Okay. So now that we said all that, we have the vaccine here. The vaccine is coming in to save the day. Okay. I wish I can do like a dun 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 dun, or some type of like Superman thing come in, dun 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 dun. The vaccine is coming in to be Superman, right? Now, why they created a vaccine so fast, or how did they create this vaccine so fast when they didn't create some vaccine for like cancer or something like that or whatever? I don't know. Okay, I'm not a medical person, but those are the questions that I have in my head. All right. But let's talk about misinformation of some of these things like the vaccine. Okay, Twitter said on Wednesday, I'll repeat exactly verbatim what they said. I wrote it, I have it up. Twitter said Wednesday um, that they will begin removing misinformation about COVID-19 vaccination from its site. Okay, it listed among posts that will remove as those included false claims that the virus is not real, debunked claims about the effects of receiving the vaccine, and baseless, sorry if I did not enunciate, claims that suggest that immunizations are used to harm or control people. Twitter said, okay, in a blog post that it will start enforcing the new policy next week. If people send tweets in violation of the rules, they will be required to delete them before they are able to tweet again. Before the offending tweet is removed, Twitter will hide it from review. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. All right, let's talk about how Twitter first said that they're going to do this thing of being able to remove misinformation. Okay. When you talk about data mining, right, you're looking at information, you're preparing the data, you're finding those unique patterns and things like that. But you're cleaning one of the major things in this world, one of the major issues, sorry, in this world that is going on right now is that people are spitting out information that is wrong, that is negative, not positive, but negative, as in like that is a zero, okay? That is that is the opposite of right. All right. Now, data can be missing. Okay, you got a whole data set, you have a lot of data, and it could be missing some things, right? Um, you have data that can be corrupt. You have data that could be wrong, right? Somebody can put in the letter A instead of letter B, as simple as I can make it. All right. Now, what's the problem with misinformation? Well, people right now are making decisions based on the data that is put out there. Okay. The research that I do personally, I do a lot of research. Okay. before I decide to talk about it, before I decide to make my opinions about things, I still do research. Now, my opinion is my opinion, okay, and it's based off of the research that I've done. But you should always do your own research. Don't just go based off of somebody and what they're saying and things like that, because there's a lot of what I call fake news out there, and it's important to understand that that you and the younger adults are reading the social media is out there, right? You got Twitter, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, LinkedIn, you have all those different YouTube, right? You have all those different social media platforms, and right now with all those different social media platforms, you are seeing misinformation, you're seeing fake news out there in the world. Okay. And so some of the things we know because they're facts, right? We know that kids can get the virus. We know that adults can get the virus. We know that every human being can possibly get the virus, right? We know that the impact of it being fatality is is um is high, right? Because there's a lot of underlying diseases in a lot of individuals. We know that there's some people that died probably that we don't know why they died, right? But there may be some underlying things with them as well. And so it's important to understand that uh that these things are real, right? Misinformation and fake news is real in the world. And so that's why I pointed out. Now Twitter is doing something great, right? All the social media platforms should do something similar to that. They should go in, they should have a team that is out there search. I have a friend that actually said that they were part of a team. Sorry, I have a friend that actually said that they have a friend that they were part of a team that where all they do is remove social media fake news. I mean that is something that is fucking the world up. Okay, because as beneficial as social media can be, it's a lot of fake shit going on out there. And so we gotta understand that, like, yo, you you have to do your research. Okay, don't just sit there and believe what you see every day. It's important. Okay, now let's talk about some of the data, some of the research that I found as far as, like, well, you got the coronavirus, right? That's been here for a minute. People like Pfizer and other companies have sat there and said, I'm going to come up with this coronavirus vaccine. Okay. Well, I don't care what kind of vaccine you come out. What are the side effects? Okay. And some of the side effects that come out, they're typical, right? You got your pain, you got your swelling, but then you also have, like, with this new coronavirus that's coming out, the vaccine, sorry, that's coming out from Pfizer, they're saying that the side effects are also fever, chills, tiredness, headache, things like that. Okay. Well, it's important to understand that those side effects are similar to most side effects that are out there. All right. And but it's also important to understand that they don't have enough data, right, to come up with the real side effects. Okay. So if you decide to go by these side effects that you see, if you Google side effects of the vaccine, well, you're only going to see based off of, like, 40, 50, so thousand maybe individuals, right? When the world has millions and millions and millions of people out there. So you have to think to yourself, is that really a good, um, I guess, sample set of data, right? As an individual out there, is that really a good sample set to go by? Well, studies show that that's probably not. Okay, if you have billions and billions of possible sample sets that you could take, right? And you have billions and billions of rows and columns and things like that out there, then 50,000 is nothing, right? That's like one person per, city, state, country, whatever it is. You just keep breaking it down. You get about 50,000 maybe or something. Town, street, and all that stuff. Um, that's one person per all of that, right? But you need more, to make your data more. reputable, or to make sure that you have a good solid foundation or support on your data, you need to make sure that you have a good data sample data set. Okay, so they're giving you what they've seen or what they think based off of um, some of those people that have tested will use the vaccine in their environment already. So definitely do your research. Pay attention to it, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the data that I've seen from vaccinations in general. Okay, you got tuberculosis out there, you got the flu, right, aka influenza. You have the measles, you have pneumonia, yellow fever, things like that. And those are kind of in order, right? Hepatitis B is up there as well. But in order, right? You got tuberculosis, hepatitis B, you got the measles, you have the flu, you have another type of form of measles, and you got pneumonia, um, yellow fever, and the rotavirus. And so when you look at those different types of viruses, right, they've all come with vaccinations over the years. Okay, but there's a lot of people, a lot of children in this world a lot of children specifically, who have not really taken the vaccine because the parents are like, no, I'm not gonna have my parents take it and things like that. Vaccination coverages have spanned over the years, and to be completely honest, based off a lot of research I've seen, you got like smallpox, right? The vaccine, vaccines have greatly reduced the what I call the prevalence of diseases everywhere in the world. I have seen that based off of some of the data that I've done. Now, am I still going to get the vaccine? Hell no. Okay, because um, to me it was thought of, it was brought about too fast, right? Yes, you need to come up with something really fast to kill this, but if you can't cure cancer in X amount of years, or you can't cure HIV, or you can't cure some of those things, and it's been like years and years and years, then but you can come up with this really fast. It's kind of really something that I cannot use the data to go by. All right. And this is your boy Dapper Data talking about where I usually go by data, right? To go by. And I have seen based off of some of the data, they're saying that vaccinations have saved lives, but how many lives have vaccines really saved, right? That's the key. Okay. So we talk about it's saving lives, but how many lives have it saved is different. Yeah, it saves lives. Okay. Maybe 5 people. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. You got the WHO organization, the World Health Organization, says that it prevents anywhere from 2 to 3 million deaths each year. Okay. Who is pretty reputable, I would say. Um, but you got to understand this, right? There's a counter to that. All right. While it does help out and prevent deaths, right, and diseases, 2 to 3 million deaths each year is preventing those. Um, Studies also show that while we have certain we're that they're certain that the vaccines have saved millions of lives, there's a calculation out there, right? But the precise number is impossible to calculate. Okay, and so that's why they say millions and millions of lives or whatever, 2,000 lives or something like that. But how many compared to the amount of people that are in this world, you know, I still don't know if that's really a good number, right? We got to do the math, the probabilities, the ratios, all that good stuff, whatever it is. So I think ultimately, what we want to understand is that that vaccines are here to try to help people. Okay, uh, you you take the vaccine at your own risk. Is what I would like to say. Okay, and as always, right, I always end with a dope data nugget at the end of the day. And so, my dope data nuggets for today are that I just want you to be safe. All right. You make the best decision for you and your family, okay? And nobody is wronging you for making a decision to say, hey, look, I'm not taking this vaccine, all right? And nobody's wronging you for saying, hey, look, I'm gonna take this, okay? Because it's up in the air right now, right? The data does not prove right or wrong right now, all right? And so, you got to take care of yourself and take care of your family. That's most important, okay? Think about those two things first, okay? And the second thing I want to say, or the third, fourth, whatever it is, whatever I'm on, is that I want to say, do your own research. Do your own research, okay? Like there are people out there that take somebody's word and run with it. I do not do that shit. Okay. You don't do it either. Okay. And the last thing I want to say is, and this may counter everything that I uh that I believe in, right? Because I'm always saying use the data. But at the end of the day, right, the decisions that we're making, we you could very well make a decision based off of data, and then the next day, your life is gone. And so I would like to say life is short, right? As you all know, life can be short. Life is short regardless. If we live to 100, that's not enough. That's not enough, right? Um, you know, this world, if you're trying to build a legacy, you're trying to become legendary, you know, 100 years is a blessing. But the average people, based off of the data, live 60 to 75 years old. And so while they're living to that age, you think about it, you're spending those 60 years pretty much working. If you make it to 75, you only got 15 years of retirement, but you worked majority of your whole life. And so life is short. And I'm not advising you to go crazy, say fuck COVID, all that stuff like that. No, 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 no. I'm not advising you to do that. But I would like to say that you need to figure out ways to still live your life, love your family, love your loved ones, and make sure that you're happy. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, being happy, right? All right. Well, this is your boy Dapper Data, the show that makes data your passion. And I just want to say I love you all, okay? As always, please reach me on any of the social media platforms. You got at MrDapperData.com on all the platforms. And keep an eye out, right, for my website. My website's coming out very, very soon. It's www.mrdapperdata.com. Um, and I'm rebranding right now, so you don't see too much going on. But I love you all. Much love. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion, with your host, Dapper Data.